ladies and gentlemen, friend of the program, ESPN authority on everything, Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah.
Dan, when they debuted your Simpson to you, I think you were on TV, and I think you thought you were actually Droodle. And turns out you were the other one that didn't look anything like you. What was your first reaction whenever you saw, like when people get a statue and the face looks nothing like? Was that your reaction, or you just, hey, happy to be here, happy to be Doltovsky for one evening?
Dude, I felt like Fitzy does with that commercial with him and Chris Thompson. Yeah, the statue thing. So I didn't love the representation. I know I have a big nose and big eyes and big ears, but I felt that was a little extreme. Also, I was not naive to the fact of where they placed me on the field. It is, literally where I stepped out against Minnesota. So I don't think that was by accident, but it was cool. All good experience, man.
Well, you did a great job. Can you take us, if it means anything, you got buried by the Simpsons. I got buried by Art But Sports.
Yep.
Did you see that?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
With Timmy.
Oh, my God. I got absolutely murdered. It was an honor. It was an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And people are saying that is a good Art But Sports. It's Jesus healing the lame and the blind. And Timothy Chalamet has his hand on my head pretty much, just like Jesus does on the lame and the blind. So, I got absolutely kicked in the
From
piece.
Game Day?
No, from Art But Sports, who is very sophisticated, obviously has a great depth in the art world and sports world, and I'm a fan of the account, which is why I charge it to the game. Lucky to be the lame and the blind in that. It was an honor to be a part of it, but that's how you probably felt with how the Simpsons kind of portrayed you. Now let's talk about the actual go here. I saw you wearing the Apple, I think.
Apple Vision.
The Apple
Pro.
Vision. Remember, that was supposed to be everybody on Earth.
I haven't seen one of those since they dropped.
The Simpsons actually predicted that that's what everybody was going to look like with the entire thing. So when they dropped, everybody thought it was going to go. I've never put those on. What was it like? Did it feel like you were in Adams Stadium or whatever you guys were calling it? Did you feel like you were there? And how was the process of the delay, right? Because you guys were on quite a delay, so we would go over. Did you know, just take us through how it all worked, please.
Yeah, so the goggles, when you put them on, when we had them on, it felt like anybody who's ever done VR, it felt like you were in it. It felt like, and they even had moments when they would put us into the vision of like Bart, or put us as the offensive line or whatnot, or have allowed the program to show that. So yeah, when you had the goggles on, you felt very much so kind of like you were in the scene and in the moment. We didn't wear the goggles that much, though. A couple of reasons. Like, one, we were not in the same rooms, because at ESPN on campus, they have these basically, let's call them 10 by 10 rooms that are built with green screens for these things. There's like 8 of them or something that fill a corridor. So, we were each in our own individual room, me, Drew, and Mina. So we would, when we had the goggles on, we could not see each other. So you can't call a game and have no way of communicating verbally and non-verbally. So more often than not, we didn't have the goggles. The only time we had the goggles on was when we were actually seen, like when we were, pregame or something, or they had us in the end zone one time. They had us at the end of the game. So in those moments, you just figured it out. You couldn't see each other, but you just kind of played it kind of by feel. So we didn't wear the goggles that much. I would say we watched this, what you're seeing on your screen, for 95+% of the game. Just to kind of be in the moment and kind of talk about what people were seeing at home. We had 2 monitors. One had the Simpsons broadcast on our right, and the left was the actual game with Troy and Joe Buck calling it and whatnot. There was a delay of probably, I think, 15 or 20 seconds. That's kind of, we knew, when Homer came in the game, or Lisa or Bart came in the game, that they were going to be a part of the play. So that's kind of like how there was a little bit of a tip-off of like, oh, they're in the game, something's going to happen.
You look super cool there. I think you still should have wore a suit to respect.
Come on, Dan.
Kind of messed up.
Kind of the NFL and everything like that. But, you do what you got to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the 16th hour of the workday. So I was just trying to survive at that moment.
We appreciate you,
You thrive.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Now, what was your research on The Simpsons? Because there were some people saying you don't know ball, which I think is very rude, because I heard you on the
Unsportsmanlike.
unsportsmanlike show. How do we? We don't know anybody over there, do we?
No, not really.
Who said I don't know ball?
No. Some people were saying you don't
Simpsons
know.
ball.
Simpsons ball. Some people were saying that. But I heard you say you were a 90s kid. Eat my shorts, you'd say to kids. Obviously, shout out Bart, when you were growing up. Did they give you some Simpsons lines to read, or how did you do your Simpsons research?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, I don't want to say like I was a Simpsons super fan, but I grew up because, again, being a 90s kid, definitely watching The Simpsons, so I'd known of it decently. The writers gave us probably 4 pages of kind of bullet points of, Springfield, which is where the game is, the stadium, all the characters, one-liners, catchphrases that are notorious with the show. And so that definitely refreshed your memory a little bit. I kind of watched probably 6 or 8 episodes over the last couple days leading into Monday that had something to do with like football or whatnot. So try to refresh my mind as much as possible. I tried to, that was the big focus, was to weave Simpsons into football and football into the Simpsons and whatnot. So, but there was a lot from the writers to help us.
Hey, I think you did a great job.
Baby. Oh, yeah, Dan.
And you know how the
man.
Simpsons
Thank you.
predict the future so often?
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that they had the UFO dropping a ball in, just so that whenever we look back on this like 15, 20 years from now, you're going to say, remember the Simpsons, they did a football game and what they had going on. I assume there's subliminal messages all over that thing telling what's going to happen in the future.
Oh, yeah. Do aliens know ball?
I do. I assume that is the case. That is one of the Simpsons things, is they just predict the future. So there's something going on. Maybe donut uprights are a thing.
Could be.
Sweet.
Everybody's laughing at it now. There's a chance that...
Couple doinks.
Exactly. There's a chance that happens. And the NFL, if Duncan wants to come in with the right number, I think maybe we could put some donuts on the uprights.
No doubt.
I think we could do that. What are your thoughts on the game? Did you get to watch the actual game back after doing the Simpsons stuff? You watched the film, I assume. Joe Burrow, there's a bunch of records. Hembo sent us the same that I assume you saw as well. Phenomenal. This guy is absolutely unbelievable. Now, can the defense live up, and for them to go on an actual run? They're lurking currently. They are in the hunt for a wild card spot. But going forward, what do you think of this Bengals team, and what did you learn last night?
Yeah, I don't think they'll get into the playoffs because you need both the Colts and the Broncos to essentially fall apart, and a little bit of the Dolphins. I think going forward, obviously the massive questions are they going to keep T, and how long will the holdout last out of Jamar? Jamar is going to be the most expensive non-quarterback in the history of the NFL, rightfully so. So there's really no issues with the offense. Do they make changes in Cincinnati? I think it's hard to sit here and think of a offense, quarterback, receiver combination being this freaking unbelievable and them not getting into the playoffs. You guys know the league. If that happens, probably a change gets made. I don't know where. And I think how can they rebuild the defensive roster? It's just the defense doesn't have to be great. It just has to not be really bad. And it's been really bad for this season. So I think part of you in Cincinnati feels unbelievable that he came back from the wrist injury and he's remarkable, and you've got all those pieces in place that at least it feels like it, but the defense is going to have to get significantly better for them to kind of really feel like they can contend again. A lot of close losses, but it's not a Super Bowl caliber roster.
Okay, and on the other side for the Dallas Cowboys, how did you guys cover Micah walking off with 7 seconds left? Did you guys put like Krusty over there?
We didn't do anything. Nah, we didn't do. Because right when the game got done, they had already taped all that stuff. There was an ending of like Homer waking up from the dream and whatnot and going to SVP. We didn't. We were just paying attention to what was going on with Micah more than covering it live, type of thing.
That's a wild scene down there in Dallas.
Not good.
Not good.
I mean, just
not good.
Should have won the game. I mean, probably wins the game.
Sure.
If a guy who just got signed to the active roster literally a few days ago doesn't make the fatal flaw of not petering. Hey, we're trying to peter.
Come on.
He's not petering.
No.
And
both these teams are kind of in the same spot, though. Like when you think about it, the Cowboys are on the verge.
Pick it up.
Thumbs up. Hell yeah, you just gave a thumbs up. Sorry, go ahead, though. Both of them in the same spot. I was talking.
You're good.
No, you're good.
Can't believe you did that. That was the last time I've seen that was the Leon Lett against the Dolphins like 30 years ago type of thing. They're kind of both in the same spots, though. Like, if you think about the Cowboys. They've paid Dak. They've paid CD. They're going to pay Micah. I think it's almost impossible to pay three people number one money or top three money and field a really good roster. The Bengals paid Joe. They paid Trey Hendrickson. I know he wants more money. Leading this league in sacks probably commands that as well. They're going to pay Jamar. So how are these rosters with all that money allocated to the more than likely three dudes going to actually contend with, rosters across in their conferences? Like the Commanders roster next year is going to be awesome because they're going to be cheap. The Eagles roster, because Roseman's unbelievable. The Vikings roster is going to be loaded. The Packers roster is going to be loaded. I think that's going to be the challenge. They're both kind of in the same spot.
Okay, well, hopefully they're able to figure it all out. We have faith. Good luck out there. Good luck. And Big Mike, remember, you can join our show if you have to.
That's right.
Next year. We'd love to give you a spot in this entire thing. Let's talk about teams that are at the top but are in the middle of a wild scene. The Brandon Graham Show, which airs on WIP, which is local sports radio in Philadelphia, took place last night. And this was his response to the A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts comments that happened once again after a win against the Carolina Panthers this past weekend.
The person that's complaining need to be accountable. And I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he know this. I don't know the whole story, but I know that one is trying. And I mean, 11 could be a little better with how he respond to things. And they was friends before this. It's like, man, but things have changed. And I understand that because life happens. But it's the business side that we have to make sure that we don't let the personal get in the way of the business. And that's what we got to do better as right now, because we know it's an issue. Everybody's seeing some things, but we need to be able to talk things out as men. You know what I'm saying? But we need to let personal stuff go and let's get right for this game, because, man, it's like a lot of stuff, most of the time it's just a conversation that just need to be had. But the person with the problem got to want to talk to the person other than others. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so a little bit of drama.
I have not heard that version.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is that on WIP? Is it called WIP or WIP? I don't know. You're in that area.
I think it's WIP.
Okay, WIP. Very, very important to the sports fabric of Philadelphia. There are some of these old school sports towns where local sports talk still very much carries weight.
Oh, yeah.
WIP is one of them. So much so that this morning, Coach Sirianni joined WIP.
Oh,
and this is what he had to say about the situation. This is real. This is real.
Nick, how concerned are you that infighting on your team could cause an unraveling similar to 2023?
I think what again, there's going to be speculation of what things look like because you guys don't have let's be honest, you guys don't have all the information.
Sure.
Right? Yep. You don't get to see it on a daily basis. All I can judge this on, and this is very similar to, when people were asking me about Jalen and I's relationship or whatever it was, like all I can judge things on is what I see on a daily basis. When I see, AJ and Jalen communicating about the game plan, eating lunch together every single day, praying with each other before the game, there's going to be speculation, and I get it. I get it, rightfully so, based on what's happened the last couple of days. But all you can do is judge what you see. I have more information. I see them every single day. I see what's going on in the building. And so you just have to, to me, we know what there's going to be noise, and I get, and I obviously get it, just based off of what's happened here in the last couple of days. But I go on my daily relationships with these guys, with myself. I go on the daily relationships that I see every single day that these guys spend 7 hours. Like, you guys get to see 3 hours of it every day, and then a little bit after. Every week and a little bit. I get to see 7 or 8 hours of it every day.
Okay, and Brandon Graham also walked back some of his comments, obviously. How do you feel about the whole situation? Anytime anything's getting talked about, obviously it's not good. It's drama, it's controversy. But it feels like that is this Philadelphia Eagles team for one reason or another. They win and people are still pissed. They beat the Carolina Panthers. Devontae Smith has a touchdown. Him and A.J. Brown talk about then the passing's a problem. Then Sirianni's got to go in and say, hey, these guys are praying together before every single game, hanging out, eating lunch together. What are your thoughts on it all, Dano, and what are your expectations for this Eagles team?
Yeah, so I think Brandon Graham's, listen, where there's smoke, there's fire. We know that. He can walk back, and BG's as good of a person as I've ever met, and everyone raves about him as a locker room person and a leader, but he's not saying that out of nothing. There's got to be something there because that would be abnormal just to float out there. I think the second thing is this. Everyone is going, well, the Eagles' passing game is broken. I would disagree with that. It wasn't good Sunday. I don't think Jalen saw the field well Sunday. I don't know why. I don't think that the Eagles' pass game is going to be one that lights up the middle of the field. I don't believe that that's the strength of Jalen Hurts. But I do know this. We could have seen this coming in a way when it comes to the lack of opportunity for A.J. Brown. The fascinating thing is this. A.J. Brown, yards per catch, is having the second best season of his career. You know, his rookie year, I think he averaged like 20 yards per catch. He's at 17 and a half right now. The difference is in his last 2 years in Philly, he's had 150 targets. Right now, I think he has something like 65. So he gets a ton of less of opportunity because of the addition of Saquon. They're not going to throw the ball as much as they did. In the past, they would come out. You guys noticed they would throw the ball. It felt like every play to start a game. And they would try to get the lead, and then the defense would chase the court. They're just playing differently. So, you know, he's getting less opportunity, but he's making more of those opportunities. I don't think the Eagles' pass game is broken. At some point, you got to play single coverage. At some point, you got to play AJ one-on-one. And I think the big thing, you know, if you're Sirianni, Kellen Moore, you're going to Jalen and be like, hey, when we get one-on-one, AJ gets the ball. Like you're throwing the ball to that guy. You're gonna force the football to him. I also watched last year early on in games when they weren't getting one-on-one, they would force the ball to AJ and try to make sure that they got him the ball. They can't do that. They can't force it. I don't think it's as big of a deal play-wise as it's getting made out to be on the field as far as X's and O's football-wise.
The personal stuff, though, that Brandon Graham said, and like the business and the personal stuff, it's like, well, sounds like something. They were friends, and Sirianni's like they're still friends, but I think what Brandon Graham said something had to have something.
Yep. Life happens.
Something.
Yes.
Life happens. Yeah. What is that? You know, because that has happened to take down the locker room before.
Yeah, is that personal stuff?
There has been.
Yeah.
It's life.
There's been a lot of those things that have happened. Life happens.
Sad.
Humans.
A Lombardi's more important than any of it when you look back on it.
That's
Amen.
right.
Never forget it, boys over there. Never forget it. Never forget it over there in Philly. Because those Johns are watching. That's why sports talk is so
Those
important, because they're
Johns.
paying attention.
Best.
Gotta love it.
Damn.
Fanatical?
from there.
You mean like the term fan? Fanatic? Is that what you're talking about?
They're nutcases.
Fanatics, you're saying like Philly.
They're fanatics, yeah. But I feel like at least the ones I've met, they're passionate. Let's say that.
All of them, which is
Trying to win.
yeah, but like when they win, they're still.
There's not a whole lot of people who would eat horse shit off the street when their team wins the Super Bowl.
Philly does.
That's right.
Means
And that's why we love them. I mean, absolutely love it. It stinks for them that the Flyers have just been so bad for so long.
And the Sixers.
The Sixers are a whole nother conversation. I couldn't even fathom how Philly people feel about the way that's.
they're done with it.
That's the process.
Done with it.
Oh my God, they don't trust the process over there. They would like to believe in winning now, and that is their expectation. What's that John that has the tattoos?
That blew his
the
knee
guy
out.
blew his knee out with Kelsey.
Chest bump.
Yeah.
I mean, like that thing exists. I think in a lot of.
Yes, all over.
Shout out to Philly. What a great sports city. But I couldn't imagine playing or coaching there. Couldn't imagine playing or coaching there. Good luck to them. All right, let's move along here for our NFL conversation. We haven't had a chance to chat with you. We've seen you on all of our TVs. Great work this year. You've done great.
Keep it going, Dan.
Thank you. I have some bones to pick with people on your show, but we'll get to that.
We will get to that.
Hell yeah.
Before we get to that, well, who do you have bones to pick with? We'd love to hear it.
Ty and Tone.
Ty and Tone.
What I
Okay,
do?
Connor, out of the.
I love you.
Okay, all right. Who? Let's.
Connor's the most liked guy in the show.
Okay.
That's not true. We know that.
Well, I like. Yep. Thank you, Fox.
is.
Let's go ahead and
Pay to that.
if we can get a split screen on the boys here too with
Those
Orlovsky.
guys make me so mad. They make me so mad when they tweet at me.
What?
They make me so angry.
Who
dude.
tweeted first, Dan?
You.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I put out the Steph Curry night when the Steelers lost to the Browns? Because that was a personal shot.
I didn't tweet directly at you.
You might as well.
Yeah, you might as well. It was him and Jage is who you were putting that out to. You know it. We know.
Dan, you can say whatever you want about the Steelers. What you said about them kicking field goals, I couldn't agree more with. But as soon as you put out that night Steph Curry tweet, that was a personal attack. And you knew it was coming back.
It wasn't. First of all, I didn't even reference the Steelers.
You knew what it was.
Okay, Dan.
You're making an assumption.
Okay.
You're making an assumption.
You're lying.
And second of all, you're making an assumption.
Jesus is watching you right now. I will have you know, and listening.
He knows.
I didn't say it wasn't about the Steelers. I didn't say it was about the Steelers.
Jesus, thank God Jesus
But you made
came
an
in.
assumption, and you directly tweeted at me to start a fire. And then Ty, when
you deserved it.
That both you guys pissed me off.
I had to, Dan. My hands were tied. I didn't have a choice. I didn't tweet at you.
Correct. You just quite literally used my name.
Yeah.
When Ty did his Coach Sirianni thing, I just want to get your facts straight. Isn't journalistic standards?
We have the bottom line.
Yeah, it is. Journalistic
Isn't
standards.
Journalistic standards.
Yeah, that's why we had the source on that had the bottom headlines about him for 3 weeks. This guy's a big dumb dipshit. Dan, explain why. Let me break down why this guy stinks. The guy that I don't think is good in Philadelphia. All sports, all people. Nick Sirianni. And they continue to win and win and win. Next headline.
I got so many calls that day when Ty did that. So many calls from people being like, why do you hate Philly? What happened? I didn't know you hated Sirianni. People from – I don't.
And I felt bad about that.
I had a coach call me and be like, hey, he's my favorite coach I've ever worked for. Like some of the things you say about him, the rhetoric really stings. And I'm like, God bless. I'm like, send me his number. I'll call him to apologize.
Well, there you go.
Well, Dan, I'm happy. Look, that's journalism.
Helping you mend fences.
Look at us. Journalistic standards. Thank you for making our case.
On the back.
Well, I'm just, listen.
It was. We kind of did it. Hey, good for us, boys. Hey, D-Bunch.
That went sideways. That went sideways.
Anytime, Dan.
First of all, Ty, you said my record's 3-23. I didn't even start 26 games.
No, hey, listen.
We're trying to give you a little bit more credibility, is what he's saying.
And I went right off Google. I just said, what is Dan Orlovsky? So I don't know if that was games you took a snap in or what. And again, when an impersonation is involved, that's not me saying it. So I really can't, I can't shoulder any of that blame, unfortunately.
Blood boil, man.
And you made it personal with me, so
blood boil.
It's his art, okay?
Yeah.
It's Ty's art. I didn't know that you weren't a fan of artists doing their thing.
Whoa.
And for Tone, whenever you did that night thing, buddy, all of Pittsburgh was like, okay, we hate this guy.
No doubt.
To be honest, the Simpsons creator might have been a Yinzer. Like the guy that created your...
That would make more sense.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it was because of that night thing after you took the big, long stance and said all these shit you said, I think.
What you
people
say...
in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia hate me.
Listen, what you say on TV, Dan, that's all good and fun because, we do that here too and whatever. As soon as you put out that tweet.
Go to Twitter.
Yep.
All right, well, happy we mended all these fences.
To tweet that one out,
That was
man.
cool.
See?
I was so happy to tweet it out.
But now you've learned that it was a mistake and everything like that,
No subtweeting over here, Dan. They taking straight shots, calling you out. You got to respect that at least.
Ty Schmidt.
Ty, Tone, at Dan O, or, into the camera so they
That
don't play
makes
the
me
sub.
even more mad, D-Bud.
You got to respect
What?
You got to respect the straight shots.
I don't know why. I do, but it makes me more angry.
Okay,
I don't know why.
you think it's because, and there's a lot of people that subliminally, or I guess, take shots at us.
Correct.
Too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the person that assumes it's all directly at us. You say, oh, that could be about somebody else if the name isn't said, right? Is that why?
No, I assume it's directly at me. I assume it's indirectly at me. Like, I always think it's me. But if you're not going to address it, doesn't bother me if you don't actually say it about me. Once you say it about me, then that, like.
Because then the people that don't know who it could potentially be know that it is you.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I didn't even think about that. Think about that. Because, like, subliminally, it's about you. Okay. You eat that, and we feel a certain way. But now every single person knows that it's also about you. When your name might not have popped up in their mind. Okay. Got it.
That's fair.
That is fair. I never thought of that.
Kind of smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a good play.
Yeah.
It's like how you don't talk about the competition ever because some people don't even know the competition exists. So why would you even talk about it? People say that in the entire thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sun Tzu taught me art of war, brother. That's how it goes.
So I don't think just
That's
stating what you're doing is
No, that's how it starts. That's how the book starts. Art of War. That's how it goes.
just say exactly directly to the person's face what you're thinking.
Chapter 2.
Wow. Rest in peace to Shinzu. He's dead.
Sure.
He is.
He is, yeah.
But he lives on.
Forever.
And ever. He is.
He's dead.
He is.
Rest in peace.
I found that out last year. He's been dead for a long, long time, Shinzu. I thought maybe we were going to get another art
It might.
of
Is
another.
the dog named after that? Shih Tzu?
I don't think just sounding like things is how naming after people are, but maybe.
It's possible. Certainly possible.
Maybe. All right, I'm happy we've mended fences and we did journalism.
Well, yeah.
We did
No,
journalism.
fences are mended. No, the fences are mended. Fences are mended.
That's nice.
Just make sure it's not 3-23, Ty, and make sure people know, like, you know, I was a Triple Crown winner in Little League. No big deal.
Dan, you almost won the Heisman.
Yeah, I was on EA Sports cover in college.
So
You know, Motor City Bowl
how they got rid of
MVP.
the
ever
No
heard
big
of it?
deal.
No big deal.
Ever heard of it?
First ball
It's a
game in school
prominent
history.
trophy.
First ball
probably,
game in
you
school
know,
history?
First bowl game in UConn.
MVP trophy of it.
Cover of
Threw the
Sports
second most
Illustrated.
touchdowns ever to Calvin Johnson in his career. I don't know if that's accurate, but I'm just making it up.
You don't need to make stuff up. The reality is enough.
Right.
Dano, you were a dog. Absolute
I mean,
dog.
look at those cabinets, man. Come on.
Yeah, you don't earn those pure, white, creamy cabinets that I assume. Are those push in and they pop open, or what are those?
No, those are just your traditional pull-open cabinet thingamajiggies.
Sterling.
Do you have an ice
silver
maker in there?
knobs.
Good coffee.
No ice maker. We have an ice maker over there.
Wow.
So, yes, ice maker.
It's got that crown molding back there too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do
that
see
is
it.
not
Good
crown
crown.
molding. It's very
Is that
nice.
fine, China? Top right?
Yeah, over to the right there. Can you lick it and then do the thing and it?
The recessed lighting is
Do you know what I'm
beautiful.
talking about?
Beautiful recessed lighting as well.
Yeah. There's no fine china here, dude.
Yeah, there is right there, brother.
I see
You love China.
What's that? Is that
That's
just
wine glasses.
Oh.
Oh, the crystal.
okay?
Fine wine,
Can
China.
you do this thing on top of that? Do you do this thing on top of it?
All right, let's try.
Let's see if it's real or not.
Yeah.
What if Dano's got fake ass?
He would never.
Nah, no chance.
So I lift my finger and
I think. Yeah. Do you have to have something in it, or is it good without it?
I don't know.
Who gave?
No, that's us making the sound, buddy. Jesus Christ.
No. It's working. I swear. I got to take my earbuds out. Hold on. It's working. I got to figure this out.
This guy thinks
taking
he's
my
still on
earbuds
The
out.
Simpsons right now.
Yeah, put your VR thing on, bub. This is reality.
Okay, ready?
You gotta put him in the
Ready?
case.
Dan's living that high life. Atta baby Dano. Wow. Atta baby Dano. Look at you.
What a day.
Wow.
Must be nice.
Holy shit, Dan.
What does that mean? That means it's rich?
Well, it means you are. Yeah. That's congratulations. Hey, Dan, congratulations. It means something.
It does.
It all means something. You've earned it, pal.
why we
You've
call
earned it, and we never have. And we know that isn't on football field money that's paying for all that behind you either. It's because of your incredible brain. So whenever Coach Tyriani or Tone Diggs or all of Pittsburgh or all of Philadelphia come after you, remember that whenever you lick your finger and do it on your glasses, that shit hums. And you know what it's singing? Congrats, bub. You made it, Dano. You made it.
Boy, Dan.
You need to stop taking a swing at every pitch, though. Like, I think we've said that
can't
for a
not.
few years. Yeah.
I can't not. I feel I can't not.
We know. We've seen that. What we're saying is maybe you can, though. You know, like going forward.
Try it.
Something isn't in, something looks a little high early. It's like, just let that thing, let the thing go around the table. And then step back in there.
Take a pitch.
Never take a first pitch strike. Never.
We know. That's what we see. That's what we're saying. You need to maybe just watch one go by.
Why?
Uncoachable.
Like, I don't.
He's always got the golden bat.
You're right.
Always.
Golden bat. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't ever want to be that person on TV.
All right. Well, you're gonna deal with Coach Tirianni and Tone Diggs and Pittsburgh and Philly whenever that's happening. But we all take it on the shins. The fact that you take it on the shins as much as you do is because how much you're on TV. We appreciate your work ethic. Now, speaking of that, you do a lot of film study. You do a lot of projecting. You do a lot of Dan-wagoning. Okay, who do we put the bandwagon behind? And who do we ride? And who do we forget that we put the Dan wagon on? And who in the end is the one? Now, let's talk about the future, the one. D-Bud has a question for you.
We're about 14, 15 weeks into the season now. These rookie quarterbacks, I just want to know, out of the group that has been playing, obviously with Jaden, his hot start, Bo Nix, and, going down the stretch, who do you project? Drake May obviously been in there as well. Who do you project will be the best going forward, and who has impressed you the most up until this point?
Projecting who I think will be the best going forward, I think Drake May's got the chance to be the most, jaw-dropping, kind of the stuff that we saw from Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford this past Sunday type of stuff, the stuff we've seen from Joe Burrow. A little bit of that is going to be dependent upon kind of what they do around him. I was the person who was like, Drake May shouldn't play meaningful games this year. That offensive line is not good. I was very cautious of putting him out there when they did. He's been unbelievable. I think the stuff that I've been floored with is a lot of the things that were unknowns of his game in Carolina, kind of the way that he would get through progressions, or could he work the middle of the field a ton, or kind of read full field throws, meaning start from the right and go to the left. He didn't do that at Carolina. It was so RPO-centric, so you didn't know. And then the mechanics have gotten so much cleaner. And just making different types of throws, Deepa. Sometimes driving it, sometimes floating it, sometimes pinning it on a guy's back shoulder. Didn't do that a ton of Carolina. I think he's got a chance to be an unbelievable star. I loved what Jaden's done this year. I think the break for them is huge at some point to kind of refresh. I want to see how Cliff kind of continues to evolve the no-huddle offense. But he's been, I still believe it's him and Bo Nix for Rookie of the Year. They need to get another piece opposite Terry at the wide receiver spot. Obviously, New England needs a ton of help. I would love T. Higgins in New England.
Yep.
Bo Nix has been awesome. Bo Nix is probably the most surprising. He's never not. I don't think Bo Nix is going to be bad at many or any points in his career. Sean Payton's been awesome. Davis Webb has been great for him. I think the arm strength, the thing is probably a little bit most surprising. At some points this year, he's been a little bit cautious and check down centric. The last 5 or 6 weeks, it has pushed the ball downfield, be aggressive with it. That's been awesome to watch. Caleb, it's so hard to gauge because the situation has been so bad. There's been moments you've been encouraged, and there's a lot of moments you're like, man, still the same stuff, still the same holding on to the football. Still the same shooting for the fences all the time. Not as accurate as you want to be, or ball placement centric as you want to be with some of his throws. I don't know if I can pin all of that on him.
He gets sacked a lot.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, big time.
Guy gets a lot of pressure.
50-something.
Gets a lot of pressure. RG3 told us it's a bad situation Caleb's going into. Need to hold out, go somewhere else. Needs to not be a Chicago Bear. Because although they spent money all around, at skill positions, that offensive line just, what are we doing, boys?
Well, he also has the longest, the most sacks after, 2.5 or 3 seconds?
Yeah.
Holds on to it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That was his thing in college. I think in college, Hembo always sends that cool stat of negative plays, and he groups it as sacks, fumbles, and interceptions. And he had, I want to say the number was 78 or something in his last year of college and that was exponentially higher than everybody else coming out of college football. And he, again, is in the lead or very much so near the top of that in the NFL.
He bought that sweet house up there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Sweet. It's a manor.
That place is awesome.
Yeah.
Expensive as shit.
Very expensive.
And then you forget, he's been making $10 million or whatever for a few years now. He is wealthy. He wanted to start an investment fund.
Yeah.
This guy wanted to start a fund. It's a fund is a lot of money because this money's just going to other places. So you got to have money fluid. Like that is how that operates. So whenever I heard that, I'm like, damn, this kid's got so much money. It's a much better life in those big houses when your team's good. Yeah, it's a much better life. Like Caleb, obviously, we saw him in college whenever they'd lose games, get a bit emotional in that whole thing. And with the way the Chicago season's gone, it's like, I mean, that can happen in the NFL. You can have 3 straight terrible years. And I assume that you do not want. What's that, Dan?
I agree.
How many terrible years can you have if you had to just project? Number 1 overall.
I mean, I played for 12 years and I had terrible, like 9 of them. So I had a bunch of them. But how many can Caleb have?
Like next year, he's starting over again.
Yeah.
Starting over again. New offense, probably, we assume. Who knows, unless it's coming from the same camp over there.
You're only getting 3 years in the NFL right now, though. I mean, that's the reality. And that's probably the most. You're probably getting, realistically, 40 games.
Let's talk about Anthony Richardson. He's in his 2nd year. How do you feel about him playing?
I loved what I've seen since he came back from the benching. You know, I would say 2 of his best games of his career have come since the benching, the Jets game and then the Patriots game on the road. So if you go back to the New England game, the 2 turnovers, they're not dumb, they're not careless, they're not reckless. They're overly aggressive. Yes, you don't want them, but I'm not sitting there, if I'm Shane Steichen, like minding them in a way where you have to stop doing that. I think you've seen him have more touch on some throws. He's been way more settled on some of his throws. I think Shane realizes he's got to get him into the game earlier physically, so they've called some of those designed runs. I feel the same way kind of pre-benching. I think he's going to be awesome. I don't know why they don't consistently catch the ball for him. That New England game's not even close. If they catch 4 or 5 of those throws again, that's kind of how I felt before. They've got to figure that out. But I've been very impressed with him. I think you're only overly encouraged by what you've seen since the benching.
Okay, that's good news for the people of Indianapolis. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Orlovsky, after what you just said about Drake, man, I probably won't say another bad thing about you for at least till the end of the year. But one of the quarterbacks who's kind of been...
December 10th.
Yep, good.
Great.
Mark it down. A quarterback that has completely changed the narrative around him this year, Sam Darnold. I mean, he's been unbelievable. We were talking about him yesterday and today. It feels like there's a chance in Minnesota he's going to get one of those Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith deals. Do you think he ends up staying in Minnesota and he gets paid there, or do you think a team is going to give him like a massive contract this offseason and he goes and be the face of a different team?
No, I don't think he stays in Minnesota. I think he's going to get $150 or so million from somebody else. I don't think he should stay in Minnesota. I love Minnesota. I love Kevin O'Connell. I think wherever he goes, you have to make sure that you run the same system, the same offensive system as kind of Kevin O'Connell does. I like the reason why I say I think he's going to go to somewhere else. I envision Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is going to get head coaching interviews. He runs the same system. But if we just looked at the teams that more than likely are going to be in the conversation for a starting quarterback, Bills, no. Dolphins, no. Patriots, no. Jets, yes. Ravens, no. Bengals, no. Browns absolutely can be in that conversation. Steelers, maybe. We have no idea what their plan is. So that's 3 teams. Jacksonville, I don't think so I'm not going to put them in there. Tennessee, probably as a maybe. That's 4. The Raiders, absolutely. Teams out west, nope. The Panthers, I don't think so. The Saints, absolutely. The Vikings, obviously they're in that conversation. The Giants. So you're looking at 9 teams that are probably looking in some way, shape, or form for a starting quarterback. Sam's been awesome this year. He's been in the perfect place for his skill set. I think he goes and gets, a Kirk Cousins type of deal from last offseason. Excuse me. But I don't think it's in Minnesota.
Kevin O'Connell's just getting these $180 million deals for guys, Kirk Cousins, we'll talk about here in a matter of moments. Sam Darnold, it feels like J.J. McCarthy obviously gets drafted in the first round to be the future of their team. Sam Darnold gets brought in to be the veteran presence for J.J. to kind of watch, and he's obviously been around. He's making like $13 million this year or something like that. Sam Darnold's team, then was J.J. going to go in? Who knows? Now that J.J. has this entire year missed, much like Anthony Richardson. Now, granted, Anthony Richardson got to play like 4 games, but he's not around in the building and everything like that. You definitely need a veteran quarterback there next year regardless, right? It's just
100%.
So it's if Sam Darnold's going to command 9 teams, that's a lot of teams. Let's say 3 of those owners are we're going free agency big.
Sure.
Let's say we're doing that. He's going to get a shit ton of money. There's no way the Vikings will be able to afford it, right? That's kind of where we're all thinking. That's kind of what we're all thinking.
I think so, yeah. And don't forget, part of the reason why they moved from Kirk was they were just tired of paying all that money to Kirk. It was, Kirk was going to demand a certain amount of money cash-wise and guarantee-wise. I know the injury might have played a factor, but I don't believe that they want to, at that point, invest that much money into that guy. And JJ, by all accounts, was awesome. And again, roster building, they've paid their left tackle. They've paid Justin. They've paid Hawk. They're soon going to have to pay Addison. There's probably a player or two on their defensive side that's going to have to be paid a lot of money to at some point. So, they drafted JJ with this specific thought process of him maybe being their starter this year. I think that if you're Kevin O'Connell, you have so much confidence in the way that you've built your roster and your offensive football team that the roster will only improve from now till next year because of that free money. I just believe it'll be JJ and Sam will go get paid by somebody else.
And they'll bring in a vet that they can pay $8 million to or something like that.
Daniel Jones. Maybe it's Daniel Jones stays there on the same, maybe half the deal that Sam is.
Now, riddle me this. We're talking about fit for Sam Darnold, that offense being perfect. Accuracy is the only thing that matters, really, in that offense? Not the only thing, but you get it.
You got it. Accuracy matters in every area. I would say the most prominent thing in that offense is you have to be able to play on time with your feet. That is the fundamental part, and you got to be very comfortable operating play action. You got to be very comfortable turning your back to a defense, making a ball fake, not seeing the coverage while you're doing it, getting your eyes back to the coverage, and knowing how to read. Play action is usually progression. It doesn't depend on the coverage. You're reading 1 to 2 to 3. You have to have a comfort in seeing that and then executing it in timing.
So is Daniel Jones one of those guys?
Yes, that's exactly. That is the majority of what Dable did that year when they went to the playoffs in 22 and he got 15 touchdowns and 5 picks and they paid him. That was the overwhelming thing that Dable did, and it mitigated a lot of the flaws. And I guess it brought his greatest strength out, which is he is capable of throwing those intermediate crossing or in-breaking routes. That's probably his best throw.
Okay. So maybe that's why they get him in there. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's learn this thing here. And Sam Darnold probably understands that this is a chance. This is a special opportunity. And I'm going to go get $200 million.
Yeah, right to bank.
I'm going to go get $200 million, and we all understand this is all good. Last question here. Only have about a minute and a half from Ty about the Vikings and, I guess, big-time contracts.
Yeah, Dano, you just talked about Kirk Cousins a bunch. What do you think ultimately should be done down in Atlanta? That division's kind of slipping away from them. Obviously, they still have a lot to play for, but everyone's talking about 0 touchdowns, 8 picks in the last 4 games, and the call for Penix is kind of really getting a lot louder. Do you think there's a chance that Penix starts before the end of the season here?
I think as long as they're in the playoffs, they'll keep Kirk, or playoff race, in the divisional race, they'll keep Kirk. I have their game on Monday night. They play the Raiders out. We have another doubleheader, 6 days from today. I don't know why in Atlanta they've gone completely away from play action. He doesn't have a touchdown pass in play action this year. We just talked for 3 minutes about what he was doing in Minnesota with Kevin. He doesn't have a touchdown pass. He's only thrown like 63 attempts in play action. So that's a whole nother conversation of why it's gone that way. If you're going to tell me that he's not comfortable with the injury, then why is he playing? He will not move off the top of his drop. Like that interception, the double clutch, he will not. I don't know why. He won't move off the top of his drop. He gets to the top of his drop and there's no movement. And I don't know if it's a lack of comfort. It's a not trusting the injury. I've never had it, but I think the Bucs, I believe, play the Chargers. If the Bucs lose to the Chargers, they'll go into Monday night Atlanta with a win and reclaiming the division lead. So I think as long as they're in division, while probably Penix's conversation is worthy, I don't think it's realistic.
It's going to get loud, though, and that's why we all reacted the way we did on draft night whenever you give a guy $180 million in his first year there, and then you have an eighth overall pick. It's like if the guy was there for a year or two and had already built up the trust and the faith in the people in the building and the fans and everything, maybe he can deal with a rocky slide, like 4 games, 8 picks, no touchdowns. But instead now it's first year with Kirk. All these people are experiencing. It's very natural just to be like, well, all right, we've seen this one. Let's do this number. They'll figure it out. They're professionals. Yeah. Just like you. We appreciate you, man. Great work last night. Go, Orlovsky. You know what I mean?